Hello, YouTube. One of us is off having a baby. We'll allow you to guess which one. The others are here. Jack, me, Katie. We're talking. We're talking football. We're talking coordinator hires. We're talking a bunch of crap. Anyway, like, enjoy, watch, please. Jack, anything?
No, we love you all. Comment how much you love us or hate us, whatever.
Electric as always, Jack. Watch.
I like the video.
All right. Hey, do we have a podcast baby yet?
I don't think
No.
so. I was thinking about that today.
Well, what's she doing? She can't be here. She's only 9 months pregnant.
I know.
I'd
That's what I was thinking too.
I'd be here if I were 9 months pregnant.
Yeah.
No, you would not be. You would have been out of the office in month 7 saying, "Woe is me," and I can't do shit.
I've had 4 kids and I've never done that once.
Have you pushed anything out your hoo-ha? Don't think so.
Well, it is
Wow.
2023.
Yeah, I mean, don't assume anything about me or my body.
That's why
please.
I asked. I asked and assumed the answer.
All right, so we're waiting. So I assume she's now entering baby protocol. Kayce Smith being the co-host of this podcast. So we'll probably next see her in a few months. I assume between now and next week when we have a show, we will have a podcast baby, which I will be naming after a football player of my choice.
Yes.
What?
Let's hope.
You're definitely going to.
It's done. Done. Will Rogers the
Let's
second.
hope to have the baby.
Will Rogers part 2. Dak. Will Dakota. Something. We'll figure it out. How y'all doing?
I'm good.
Me? I'm just chilling here in Scottsdale, Arizona at the Barstool Sports House. Basically a sports mansion. I'm in a room with a pool table, a foosball table, a poker table, an ugly producer, a TV, a big wall-sized mural of Jacobs Field in Cleveland. Have no idea why that's, and I don't think it's called Jacobs Field anymore. I'm looking
Progressive
at
field.
Yeah, well, everything's progressive nowadays, isn't it, Jack?
Yep.
Yep. Child mutilating field.
Are you saying
Anyway,
that to son?
I played pickleball today, but I only played one round of pickleball. I might go play pickleball in the sun after this.
Oh,
I'm
my God.
also a new confession about me. I love pickleball. Jack, you ever played pickleball?
You drank the Kool.
No, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. It's a fun sport.
I've not
It's the
played
new
it, so
thing,
I have no
yes.
comment on it. I'm gonna have to play it. It looks cool. It looks cool as hell though, and I know it's very popular. My mom likes to play it.
Yeah, when me and my wife used to play pickleball, it was a totally different thing. But now this is actually
Amen, brother.
you know how we do. Anyway,
I
wanna
can
do-
touch to that.
y'all want to do a podcast?
Oh, I want to do a podcast.
Why are you being weird?
I'm not be. It just. I don't know. It feels. I'll get in the zone.
Also, why didn't you change the logo on the screen behind you to unnecessary roughness? It would have been a nice touch.
It's true, but I'm blocking it.
Fair enough. Okay, we'll get started. Hi. Welcome to Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool's college football podcast brought to you by High Noon Hard Seltzer. And I am in the desert, and we are high nooned out up here. We got high noons everywhere in this house. I had a passion fruit earlier. I had a pineapple. It's just high noon everywhere. And we have the Barstool Bar in town, so it's just high noon as far as the eye can see out here in Arizona. What's your favorite flavor, Jack?
I think I'm still a peach guy, but you know that what's low key good, which I like because not that many people like it. Black cherry. I like black cherry a lot. Not that anyone dislikes it, but it's usually lower on their rankings.
You don't hear it as much when people say their favorites, and that's fine. Katie, I don't know that I know your favorite.
It's peach by a landslide and then grapefruit soon after. I'm going to Mexico in a week, and if it wasn't, I'm checking a bag so I can bring liquids. And if I wasn't international, I would be bringing High Noon in my carry-on because I've been doing dry January until this vacation, and I want my first drink to be a High Noon.
I feel confident you're going to be able to find a delicious High Noon in Mexico.
I hope so. I do think the office itself is out. But when I walked out yesterday, there's a massive pallet sitting underneath in the loading docks. but it still hasn't made its way up into the office. But can't imagine it's for anyone else in this building.
Yeah,
So I do think that by the time you get back from Arizona, we'll be restocked in the office.
I think we work in an office that's mostly New York public school offices, I think.
Oh, you're talking about the actual building we work in?
Yeah, the building that we're in, there's 14 more floors or even more than that.
Yeah. No, there's 20 floors.
I think a lot of them are like government-owned jobs. So I don't think they would be getting high noon. You never know, though.
Well, the government's into a lot of shady shit these days. All right. So we're going to talk on this show. It's Kayce, I guess, again, I said it earlier, I just assume maternity leave is starting because she should be, I think her due date is this Sunday, but it's any moment now. It could happen at any moment, and we'll find out very soon about the arrival of this bouncing baby boy.
On Monday, the doctors did tell her 24 to 48 hours, so we are not on the 1 yard. We're on like the 1 inch line right now.
We're in the baby zone right now.
Yeah.
Baby zone. We saw her on Monday in the office. I mean, she was in good spirits, but you could tell it's close.
Yeah. I texted her this morning. I said, "Are you still pregnant?" And she says, "Yes, just shoot me, please." So I think she's ready to be out of the pregnancy stage of motherhood.
100%. I could see how that could get very, very annoying.
9 months is a long time to be anything.
Also, isn't it basically 10 months?
It is 10 months.
Like what people don't talk about pregnancy. It's not 9. It's basically 10.
It's actually 10. I think it's 9 because that's basically from when you find out. It's 9 months from when you find out, especially back in the day. It's 9 months from when you found out. But it actually is. It's a 10-month process of the baby going from what it became to what it is. You know what? I'm not going to get into the biology because it's 2023. Who gives a shit about biology anymore? Isn't that right, Jack?
No, I'm going to sit this one out.
Okay. All right. You're sitting this one out all of a sudden. Wait, why?
No.
When did you become a sit-out guy?
This one, I'm sitting out this one today.
All right. Okay. Well, Jack, trust the science. Okay. So anyway, here we go. We're going to talk about coordinators today. We're going to talk about coordinator hires. We're going to talk about the impact it has on a team because aside from three major changes you can have, and I'm speaking, let's go from an offensive perspective. Three major changes you can have. You can have a new head coach, a new quarterback, and a new offensive coordinator. And I think the change from offensive coordinator to offensive coordinator is a lot more stark and a lot more of a change than from quarterback to quarterback. Because, you go from like Stetson Bennett, for example, at Georgia. Stetson Bennett leaves. They're just going to bring a guy in and probably run about the same offense they ran with Stetson Bennett. That's not that. It's just going to be the skill level and the comfort of which he operates the offense. But Todd Monken's going to run some still interesting stuff. But when you change coordinators, and I'm looking at places, I have a list of the 5 schools that are going to look the most different on offense next year. We're going to get to that in a minute. Katie, what do you got to say?
Well, what about quarterbacks who change schools? Like that? Obviously,
well,
you're
that's
talking team.
Yeah,
like Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix.
But that's correct. That's a different discussion for a different day. We'll get into the transfer quarterbacks because that's obviously a big change. And we've seen
coordinators.
We've also seen the change a coordinator can make for a quarterback. Penix goes from Indiana to Washington, and he becomes a totally different player, different system, different everything, and he is far and away what we thought he could be, or based on what we saw at Indiana. But before we get there, we got several not news items. Also have a 2-minute drill at the end of the show because we're talking college football. I'm out here in Arizona, though, so it's nice. It's 70 degrees. It's beautiful. I got my wife out here. Why would you do that? Yeah, she's out here with me. She's
that's cool.
We went to a $700 dinner last night.
Well, you could probably expense that business. Blink.
I don't think I'm going to risk that one. But we've had a good time out here. Had an 8-course tasting menu yesterday.
Was it a specific type of food?
or was it just like steak and?
Just good, solid. Just a steak and seafood type
Oh,
place.
okay, cool. I didn't know if it was Mexican or something. I'm sure there's some great Mexican food up there.
Oh, I had Los Sombreros the other day. Delicious Mexican. The best carnitas I've ever had.
Yeah, I'm sure that's why I'd always want to get out to Arizona, because the food down there, the Mexican food's probably.
Yeah, I think the Mexican food in Arizona is the best Mexican food anywhere on the planet. I can't think of a single place that would have better Mexican food than Arizona.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Katie, what?
Mexico?
Agree to disagree. Agree to disagree. All right. So, but number one, the reason this coordinator talk got spurred on, Alabama, if you listen to their fans, which I don't ever recommend that you do. Don't ever listen to Alabama fans. But if you listen to Alabama fans, the only thing that kept them from continuing their dominance and winning a national title in 2022 were those rapscallions, Pete Golding, the defensive coordinator, and that piece of shit carpetbagger Bill O'Brien, who we shipped off to New England. If Bill O'Brien and Pete Golding weren't in place as coordinators last year, Alabama would have went 19-0 with 19 blowouts and won another national title. That's what you would believe if you listen.
And it wasn't just Bill O'Brien. It was if Travie for the boys was calling plays, they would have, all they had to do was just run a few play action passes.
Yeah.
And they would have won so many games by so many points.
And
every game, like you said.
And to believe that, you have to ignore the fact that Bryce Young won the Heisman a year earlier with Bill O'Brien calling the plays. Will Anderson was a Heisman finalist with Pete Golding calling the plays. But let's indulge Alabama fans and allow them their fantasy that now that they've hired new coordinators, it's right back to reality, which is Alabama being on top of the sport. They go from Bill O'Brien, who's now at New England, and Pete Golding as their coordinators. They've hired in the last week Tommy Rees from Notre Dame and Kevin Steele from the University of Miami. Now, I have two drastically differing opinions on both of these, and I would like Jack, or both of y'all, I'd like to get y'all's opinions. I'll start with Tommy Rees. I don't believe on paper this hire is a knockdown, oh my God, we got the best guy in the world hire. However, Tommy Rees is 30 years old. I think Tommy Rees is a brilliant offensive mind. Tommy Rees also had the limitations of bad personnel offensively and a completely different coaching staff around him at Notre Dame last year. If he had the Sam Hartman type, I think Tommy Rees is a very good offensive coordinator, and I think this is a good hire. He doesn't have the track record of, say, what Garrett Riley put up this year at TCU. He doesn't have that track record, but he didn't have the horses at Notre Dame. He was fighting with bad quarterback play. He was fighting with them starting over at running back, and they were okay. I think this is a young, great coach, and it's a good hire by Alabama. Jack, what do you think about that?
Tom, so anytime you hire an offensive coordinator, I think the biggest thing is how is he going to deal with your quarterback, unless you're like an Army or maybe, So Tommy Rees is walking in, and he's going to either have Ty Simpson or Jalen Milroe be his quarterback, bearing some crazy change we don't see coming. I think Tommy may have been a little bit prepared for that low, in terms of Alabama standards over the past however many years, that's a low bar. And he's kind of prepared for that coming in after last year with Notre Dame, with Buchner and I'm blanking on the other guy's name, but
Drew Pine.
Drew Pine. Now, what's it going to look like? I feel like we're almost going back to an Alabama that we saw with,
Mac Jones?
Yeah, not even Mac Jones. I'm saying even further back.
AJ McCarron,
McElroy, McCarron. We're going back there where the quarterback's not going to have to do as much. Now, will that work? I don't know. Maybe.
But here's my problem with that, Jack. The concept is correct. I don't mind what you're saying. Saban hasn't been getting the running backs he used to get. And their receiver, they peaked at receiver in 19 and 20 when they had the most ridiculous foursome they ever have. 4 first-round picks. I mean, that's the peak of college football receiver rooms, okay?
100%.
I know LSU's been close, Ohio State's been close, but that's pretty much the peak. But like Trent Richardson, and you say what he want in the pros, Mark Ingram, Trent Richardson, Derrick Henry, they haven't walked through that door at Alabama in a couple of years. Ever since Najee Harris left after the 20 season, they've just been okay at running back. I believe
we haven't really seen anybody that's even to the standard of Damian Harris, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
This year we did see Taj Gibson, but
Jahmyr
Gibbs. Sorry, I don't know what happened there, but Jahmyr Gibbs. But Jahmyr Gibbs was great when you threw the ball to him, but he wasn't like a great runner in between.
He was great.
Tackles.
He was great in open space, and he was great for highlights. But if it were 3rd and 2 and you had to have the 2 yards, that's not the horse that Alabama is usually riding. So their offensive personnel is a little bit behind where it's been. Now, they recruit a number 1 class every year, so it's never going to be long before they're going to get the right running backs and receivers. I'm not worried about that. But if you're going to go back, even theoretically, to the A.J. McCarron days or to the Greg McElroy days when it was basically, hey, just don't fuck this game up for me. Just go out there, hand the ball off 30 times, and let the best defense in the country win games for you. If you're going to do that, Jack, I don't think you do it with a rehash at defensive coordinator in Kevin Steele. You go from Pete Golding to Kevin Steele. Kevin Steele has been with Saban before, and Kevin Steele has been successful in college football before. However, if you saw Miami's defense last year, which Kevin Steele was in charge of, I'll just say this, just based on the limited resources I have in college football, I don't think people at Miami were very sad to see Kevin Steele leave.
Yeah, no, so to skip ahead a little bit, my question for you and Katie is, so Alabama fans were so happy when Bill O'Brien kind of like, he didn't get fired, but he left to go to New England, kind of upgraded his job. I guess he's so bad at his job, he's failing upwards. Pete Golden, I think, maybe Saban was like, hey, you should look for other jobs. But they were so happy. Did they upgrade?
I don't. I think they, at best, went sideways. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Kevin Steele is like, he's like the A2 position on a coordinator vending machine. Like if you go to a vending machine and you got 55 cents in your pocket, you put it in. Well, what do I want? Let's see. Oh, there's Kevin Steele. I know I can always depend on that. A2, and then Kevin Steele pops out. Like there's Todd Grantham on A1. There's Kevin Steele. There's all these guys. They're just always around. I'm thinking back. Norm Chow used to be this as an offensive coordinator. Noel Mazzoni used to be this as an offensive coordinator. Bo Pelini was kind of like this. Just guys that Muschamp, who's now been a defensive coordinator for 28 SEC schools somehow. It's just like, okay, we're just rehashing now. If Saban gets back to the old model where he was really in charge of the defense, okay. I just think this defensive coordinator hire is very lackluster, and if you're Alabama and all of a sudden for the first time in 15 years you're actually looking up at somebody, and you're looking up at Georgia, you're looking up at somebody, I don't know that hiring Kevin Steele makes me go, wow, this is what's going to catch him.
I think Tommy is probably the higher ceiling, but I don't even know what Kevin Steele's ceiling is. I mean, I guess you get him in with a loaded offense or defense with 5 stars, but could he be? I mean, maybe we'll just look back on it and be like, oh, amazing hires, but it seemed like these were all second or third choices for Saban. He wanted the Washington offensive coordinator who it was reported from The Athletic turned down the job, but Alabama fans were like, that ain't true. If you say other people turned down the job, that Alabama offensive coordinator job, Alabama fans will yell at you. Now, they also were like, Jeremy Pruitt's buying a car in Alabama. That means he's going to be the defensive coordinator. And they end up with Kevin Steele. I think if they ended up with like Joe Brady and Jeremy Pruitt, oh my God, the Alabama fans would be talking like it was nothing. But they ended up with Tommy Rees isn't a retread at all because he's kind of new. But Kevin Steele's almost like your coaching position came open, and they hired a guy like Paul Pasqualoni. Like he's been around the block.
I don't mind that. I think the Tommy Rees hire has potential to be very, very good. He's the guy's 30 years old. Like, he's young as hell, and I think he's got his best coordinator or his best coaching days in front of him. I think this is a star in the coaching industry. Kevin Steele is just Saban going to the closet and getting an old pair of New Balances that he used to run in and saying, well, these fit, and I'll just put them on. I just, again, if you're now behind Georgia in the pecking order, which you are, it's underwhelming. All right, I want to talk about one more underwhelming move that a team has made.
One question for Tommy Rees. How much do you think that has to do with him and Brian Kelly being under the same tree? And now, Alabama just lost to LSU.
Well,
it's maybe an attempt to go after Brian Kelly. Not like an icing cake term. Not the only
I don't
reason
think.
that.
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with it. However, to speak to that point, it is very interesting that last year Brian Kelly went to LSU and could not pull Tommy Rees.
Yeah, he couldn't.
He tried. He tried to take him with him, but he couldn't get him out of South Bend. He couldn't get him out of Notre Dame. And then a year later, Saban comes calling, and that's enough, and he does do it. So that's an interesting. I don't know that Saban set out say I'm gonna stick it to Brian Kelly, but it is very interesting that Brian Kelly tried to get the guy, couldn't do it, and Alabama could. So maybe not even trying to fuck him, you still kind of fucked him a little bit. All right, before we get into, I know you got something to tell me about before we get into this next one.
I know, and you were talking about Brian Kelly not being able to pry Tommy Rees from Notre Dame down in LSU.
What's this segue going to be? Let's listen to this segue.
Yeah, I think Nick Saban walked into Tommy Rees's office in South Bend and said, hey, brother, you see this Ridge wallet? It's got millions in it. And guess what? This Ridge wallet's pretty cool, too. So why don't you come down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I'm going to give you a Ridge wallet.
And the good thing about that Ridge wallet, if you put that $12 million in there on a card, it has RFID blocking technology, so it would be almost impossible for digital pickpocketers to go into that same office in South Bend and say, oh, I'm going to take this card, I'm going to take the numbers on this card, because he has a Ridge wallet, it's going to protect him. Ridge wallet, by the way, holds up to 12 cards, and it has room for cash. By the way, Katie, you're going to be on the road. You're going to Mexico for vacation. Ridge wallet's a very convenient little thing to be carrying to protect your.
I'm bringing mine.
Brandon Walker just accidentally he's not looking at his text here. Okay.
Oh no! Good. So the cool thing is about the Ridge wallet is it has, like you said, 12 cards, but also Ridge as a company as a whole isn't just a wallet company. It also has key cases that will help you organize your keys. It secures anywhere from 2 to 6 keys. So you could get a key case, and then you could also get a Ridge wallet. Obviously, Valentine's Day's coming up. We're almost there, but after that, there's birthdays, holidays, and whatnot. Yeah. Ridge wallet's a great gift.
They have over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. Here's what you do right now. I want you to go to ridge.com/UR and use code UR. That's the letters U and R put together for 10% off of your order. That is Ridge Wallet. Now, I want to go to Iowa City, Iowa, and I want to talk about the Iowa Hawkeyes and the fact that they're running it back with their offensive coordinator, Brian Ferentz, who happens to be the son of the head coach who's been there for 20-some-odd years, Kirk Ferentz, and they're running it back, and we found out details of his contract late last week, and it's basically just to keep his job. I don't know if this is to even hit employment or bonuses or anything like that, but he has to average at least 25 points a game next year, which if you look this year, that would have been good for 85th in the country, tied with Arkansas State. And it immediately came to mind when Kirk and Brian Ferentz play bad teams to start the year, they're absolutely going to empty the clip and trying to score 60 a game, which is an interesting element because they're going to try to run it up on bad teams to hit these numbers. Jack, I'm about to do an Iowa rant, so before I do one, would you like to say anything about it?
No, it's a very interesting contract because you look at it and you think, oh, I see what you're trying to do, but could this be counterintuitive and it could change how they're going about things? But maybe it's forcing them to change, and that's what the Ferentz family hasn't done in a little bit. I'm looking at the schedule now. South Dakota State to start the year. And then their out-of-conference is also Nevada and then Iowa State. So those are – I feel like it's possible they doesn't get to 25. But, yeah, I don't have direct takes on it, but it is going to be something that's interesting to track next year.
All right. Well, I have a take on it. Oh, go ahead, Katie.
Oh. That the contract says it's 25 points a game. It's not 25 points scored by the offense. So even if the defense does it, it still counts.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I can see Kirk Ferentz getting mad at his defensive coordinator at the end of the season. You only had 3 pick sixes. 4 pick sixes would have gotten my son. Anyway, so here's my Iowa take. I think we are in the waning days of the Ferentz regime, not the Brian Ferentz regime, the Kirk Ferentz regime at Iowa. They are trapped in a loveless marriage. They are. And this pathetic little contract for Brian Ferentz is like when couples who don't love each other anymore sit down in a room and say, you know what, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep trying for the kids. And knowing in a year they're just going to look at each other and they're going to detest each other even more. Brian Ferentz isn't the answer at offensive coordinator. And Kirk Ferentz in 2023 isn't the answer as head coach. I know I use this example a lot. And Iowa fans, I know we have a history. I'm just spitting facts at you. I'm not coming from a place of bias. I'm just coming from a place of a college football fan that watches college football. You can't run the offense Iowa runs in 2023 and expect to be successful in football. You just can't do it. That's a fact. That is a fact. You've seen other defensive coaches like Kirby Smart, Nick Saban change everything they do offensively because it fits with the times. Kirk Ferentz hasn't done it. He still runs the 2 tight end model, the fullback, all that old stuff. Look at Wisconsin right now. They're moving into 2023, and Iowa still won't do it. It's just wild. If you look down at Fort Worth, Texas, they got in a loveless marriage with Gary Patterson. TCU got in a loveless marriage with Gary Patterson, and they broke ties. And a year later, they played for a national title. That is a very extreme example. But Kirk Ferentz doesn't play winning offensive football in 2023. His son doesn't play winning offensive football in 2023. Any contract you write up trying to get numbers for them to hit, and any coat of paint you put on it, like bringing in a quarterback from Michigan, it's just delaying the inevitable. It is time for Iowa to get serious about football in the modern days and move on past Kirk Ferentz. I'm sorry. I know he's been great there. He's been phenomenal there. They have so many NFL players. They've had so many great seasons. But look around. Look at what's happening. Look at how other offenses are faring. Look at Michigan, who used to be a boring offense, what they do now. Look at what Wisconsin's about to try to do. Look at what Georgia does offensively. If you want to be a good team, you can't just rely on one elite side of the ball and a couple of good tight ends. That doesn't work anymore. And the longer you look in the mirror and say, you know what, Kirk Ferentz is our guy, you just fall further and further behind. And Iowa is such a good program with a good resources and good everything. If they moved into the modern age, I think they would be a lot better for it. That's what I think anyway, Jack.
No, I agree. I guess I want to give them one more year with Cade.
How many one more years do you get?
Look at behind. Can you see behind Katie right now or no? Look who it is.
Look at that.
Fucking Alabama.
You can tell it's the Alabama A. You can tell it's the Alabama A because it has the mullet.
Anyways, that just threw me off. But no, with Iowa, you're right. And I think what you said about TCU is such a great point. They could have stayed with Gary Patterson, be like, hey, he's done so much for us. He waves to the kids, the whole nine.
Yeah.
Who cares about a 5-7 season? The fans still come. But at a certain point, and this is what I was even thinking when we're talking about Alabama, like, I'm not saying this by any means, but how many more seasons have to go by before we're like, damn, the game's passing them by? Like, because the game keeps going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the game doesn't wait. The game never waits.
The game does not wait. Like, even think about it. It's like we didn't even think of, like, Tennessee popped out of nowhere. LSU went and spent $120 million on Brian Kelly. In the Big Ten right now, look at all these teams that are trying to change things. What if Nebraska gets good with the Matt Rule? And then Iowa State. Duke. Yeah, Duke. Yeah, exactly. These teams keep coming. And if you don't lash out to try to get a guy that can change your program, and the guy that was working in 2011 isn't working anymore, the game can pass you by, and then you're like, wait, you remember when I was good? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but last year, there's not that many more years for them to have any more fuck-ups.
No, I agree. All right, now I want to get into deeper coordinator discussion because there's 5 teams I think they're going to look remarkably different this year when it comes to their coordinator, and these teams are going to get help on the offensive side. Some would say, Jack, they're going to get better help.
Yes, and BetterHelp has been a long-time sponsor of this podcast, and as our mother of the podcast now reminds us, it's okay to not be okay. I tell myself that every morning. And this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you're at your best, you can do great things. That's so true. When I'm feeling mentally straight, I'm feeling good. But sometimes life gets you bogged down, which is so true, and you may feel overwhelmed or like you're not showing up in the way you want to. Working with this therapist can help you get closer to the best version of you. Whether or not you've been into therapy personally, you may find yourself getting on BetterHelp and looking and being like, oh my God, I should have done this so much earlier. And that's a great feeling to have.
And it's not one of those things where you have to sit on a couch and look at a person. I mean, it's one of those, you're able to talk to somebody. You're able to communicate with somebody. You don't have to see them. You don't have to, there are certain ways you can do it. And sometimes you just have to slow down, take time for yourself, and make sure you're investing in yourself.
Yeah. And it's like you just said, convenient, flexible, affordable, and entirely online.
Entirely online.
Yes. And all you have to do to get started with BetterHelp is fill out a questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. These aren't fugazi therapists, guys. They're real. And switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. So let's say you get a therapist, you don't really gel with them, you can find somebody else. Like if the offense ain't working, go get another coordinator.
If you want to live
go ahead. Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. What I want you to do right now is visit betterhelp.com/Smith. Smith. That's crazy. That's Kayce. What did you just do? You just played something back?
I pressed Instagram and my volume was on. I'm sorry.
It's okay very much. You're watching your own video on Instagram, by the way?
No. I clicked on my notification and a video popped up.
Visit betterhelp.com/Smith to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Smith. All right, Jack. Now, we're going to also do this with defensive coordinators probably next week to really break down who's going to look the most different, how much change is out there. And there's a lot of change. There's a lot of new coordinators. I know, Miami losing Josh Gaddis, moving on from him. Clemson going from Brandon Streeter to Garrett Riley. Wisconsin with Phil Longo. A&M bringing in Bobby Petrino, of all people, to be their coordinator. On and on and on. And even further than that, without just coordinator changes, but Auburn, how much different will they look with an actual offensive scheme now that Hugh Freeze is there? How much different are certain places going to look with different head coaches there? But I have 5 schools written down as the 5 places I think are going to look the most different when it comes to their offensive approach this year. Now, there's one team that is way above everybody else when it comes to looking different, and I'm not sure we're talking about it enough. Jack, you know who I'm talking about?
Wisconsin?
Folks, the Wisconsin football brand that we have come to know over the last 50 years, maybe 100 years, the 3 yards in a cloud of dust, the 5 corn-fed offensive linemen that just absolutely – grade the road in front of you and bulldoze everybody, and 2 talented running backs that run for 400 yards a game, that's probably over. Now, they're still going to have Braylon Allen. They're still going to have the running back situation. But Phil Longo, who was once at Ole Miss, last couple of years, he was – you know what he was doing? He was having a Heisman contender in Sam Howell at North Carolina, and then he had Drake May burst on the scene. This is not a 3 yards in a cloud of dust offense. This is 4 and 5 wide receivers going everywhere, still going to run the ball. They still ran the ball. They had two second-round picks a couple years ago, Javonte Williams and Chandler. No, what was his name? Carter. Michael Carter, right?
Michael Carter.
Yeah. They had two big
downs this.
So you're still going to run the ball. But Wisconsin, the days of them lining up in the I form with 2 receivers and a tight end and just bullying people is over. Wisconsin is about to go into a wide open spread attack. Luke Fickell brings in Phil Longo, who when he was at Ole Miss, they were throwing every down to DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown. At Carolina, they're throwing to Josh Downs. They're throwing down the field, and they're running it a lot out of the spread. Wisconsin looks – it's going to be shocking to see Wisconsin the first game they play this year, Jack.
Yeah, and I think Katie can speak to it more than I can because she watched every down of North Carolina this year, obviously. And I thought when I was looking at the offensive coordinators and I sent over the list, I almost thought, and as I'm sitting here, it's almost better to look at the change and then the quarterback they're going to have. Because Phil Longo is going to have, I mean, obviously last year, Drake May is one of the best in the country, but Tanner Mordecai is coming with him over to Wisconsin. And we're going to have, they have a chance to, I mean, we were just talking about Iowa. I mean, guys, like, look what's going on right above you with, Wisconsin said, hey, we have to change. We have this guy who's been really good for us, but he's having a down year. And we're going to go out and get a better coach that we think is a better coach. And then an offensive coordinator and a better quarterback because the guy that we had, Graham Mertz, wasn't working. And I'm really excited. Wisconsin's probably, it's funny to say, one of the most exciting teams coming into 2023.
No, I think they absolutely are. And Katie, I'll let you speak to it, but I know watching North Carolina's defensive coordinator apply his trade the last couple of years has taken years off your life, but North Carolina's offense was a delight.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think at the end of the year it really came true, but just the red zone conversion became a big issue. But so I'm interested to see how that works. That's the only issue with Phil Longo, but I think I'm not happy about losing him. I think he makes the game interesting, especially Wisconsin. The Big Ten West needs more coordinators like Phil Longo.
It does. The Big Ten West needs an infusion of excitement, and I think with Matt Rule at Nebraska, with Fickell and Longo at Wisconsin, I think you're going to get it, and I think this is going to force the hand of places like Iowa saying, okay, well, look at what's happening in Wisconsin. I think this is terrific for the brand of football out there. Now, there are 5. Go ahead.
How in the Big Ten West, all those teams went towards, for Nebraska, they brought in Matt Rule and then Marcus Satterfield. But then Purdue brings in Ryan Walters. They're going defensive. So it'll be interesting to see in 3 to 4 years if whoever lasts that long, because the 3-year thing doesn't really exist anymore, but to see who kind of wins.
Well,
in the Big Ten West, oh god.
With coordinators, though, it's not even a 3-year thing. It's year to year. You better 100%. Be good. You better be good immediately, or you're not getting a second year. That's the second and third year. Ask for the head coach. Your ass can get replaced in 5 minutes.
Yep, especially if you're not gelling.
Go ahead, Katie.
It is a little disappointing that the joke of Big Ten West football, the punt, not maybe saying right away, but we might be seeing the finish line of that. I feel as ugly as it is fun to kind of poke fun at the Big Ten West with that kind of games. If we might be missing out on that.
That is true.
The 9-7 Northwestern Iowa game with Beth Mowins on the call at 11 a.m. Yeah, that
may still happen though, because Northwestern's the same, Iowa's the same.
So here's my 5 schools. Wisconsin is obviously the one that I'm most excited about their change. I think it's the biggest change. I think Miami is going to be a big change. Josh Gaddis was just the wrong fit. Now, sometimes you go out and you get a guy and it just doesn't work. Doesn't mean you're bad, doesn't mean he's bad, doesn't mean your players are bad. It just doesn't work. And he had a quarterback I thought would be a top 5 quarterback in the league in the country last year, Tyler Van Dyke. Didn't work. Now they go out, they change it around, and I think just the subtraction of Gaddis from the equation is going to make Miami's offense a lot. I think they're going to make sure they get back to what made Van Dyke good in the first place.
They still haven't hired somebody. It's really interesting because we brought this up last week, and you said, hey, it's probably one of those situations where they fired someone with someone in mind.
And maybe I don't know. I haven't been in tune with it. I probably should have done some more research. I mean, Mark Whipple still doesn't have a job, which is kind of interesting that we went into last year thinking he could be the guy who changes Nebraska for the better, and now he's jobless.
I just remember whenever you say Mark Whipple, I just think of that game against Northwestern to open the season, and Scott Frost just kept making mistake after mistake after mistake, and he gets to the press conference. He's like, "Yeah, well, our offensive coordinator's got to learn. He's got to learn how to play in this league, man. He's just got to learn." Coach, you went for an onside kick. Our offensive coordinator, though, that guy's got a lot to learn in this league. Okay, well, and then Scott Frost left us shortly thereafter. I think Notre Dame has a chance to be very, very different, and just in the fact they're losing Tommy Rees, fine, but the quarterback situation, whoever, the guy that takes Tommy Rees' share, the guy that calls offensive plays for Notre Dame next year, is doing so with one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And I think their skill position package will be that much better. And Notre Dame is a team I'm excited to see on offense this year. Clemson decided to go ahead and stop fucking around with their offensive system. They tried for 2 years to recreate the magic with DJ Uiagalelei. That dream is dead. It is now Cade Klubnik's team as far as coordinator goes, but no longer they're going to try to keep it in the family with Brandon Streeter. That wasn't working. Nothing was exciting about that offense. They go out and they get probably, I would say, the sexiest coordinator hire of the offseason, and Garrett Riley. He was the hottest name this year.
100%. I was just looking through some of the other guys that, I mean, obviously, like, Kenny Dillingham was a head coaching hire, so you can't really. Yeah, he's definitely the sexiest hire. I'm just looking at the other names. Phil Longo, I guess, would be up there. But
I think Longo doing what he did in North Carolina is good, but like Garrett Riley at first of all, he's Lincoln Riley's brother, so that adds to the sexiness factor as far as coaching pedigree goes. But secondly, I mean, Max Duggan was just a guy. Max Duggan was just a guy at TCU for 3 years before Garrett Riley shows up and really gets him going. Now, all of a sudden, he finishes – I think he finished second in the Heisman race. Like, they changed everything. That offense is what drove that team. Now Garrett Riley goes to Clemson, and Clemson desperately needed eyeballs on the program from outside the program. They desperately needed an infusion of people that aren't – from Dabo's homegrown tree, right? They desperately needed somebody to come in and say, you know what? This is how it should be done. This is how we're going to utilize the talent here. And I think this is the best case scenario for Dabo Swinney and their offense.
Earlier in the show, Jack said, or questioned, is a game passing Saban by? I think this hire for Dabo, you almost have to tip your cap of because he has the history of the in-house hires. I think he took this season or the off season, or about to be, through this is the new step, the new adaptation that he needs to do to kind of stick with the game. Because if he had hired internally, what are you doing? You need outside sources. At least Dabo's taking the right step, even if it's the wrong NIL that he listens to.
Mm-hmm. Katie, they run the program there in God's name, image, and likeness, and I don't really appreciate you mocking that or making fun of that.
My apologies.
That really was. We can't forget that quote because I guess he said it in late 2022, right?
Well, I didn't want to tell you guys this, but we now are running unnecessary roughness in God's name, image, and likeness as well.
No, so, inshallah, yes, good.
Is that a bathroom behind you, Katie? What's going on behind you? There's a lot of activity.
That's the snack room.
I feel like I'm accidentally outing a lot of people because inside Barstool thing, the snack room normally is locked and sometimes it's not. And it's locked because two people go in it throughout the day. So I feel like I'm catching everyone on camera who's sneaking in there.
Maybe if the people whose job it is to put out the snacks actually put out the snacks, nobody would go into the fucking snack closet.
They put them out in the morning. We're just ravenous and people eat too much.
Okay. All right. Everybody relax. Yeah. So I got Clemson. I got Wisconsin. I got Notre Dame. I got Miami. I'm going to honorable mention here Mississippi State. Mike Leach is dead. Mike Leach died. And that's unfortunate. But they bring in Kevin Barbay from App State, and they're going to be a lot more running, a lot more modern offense, at least is what it looks like. And then I got Auburn, too. Auburn is, and I don't care who their offensive coordinator is in name, it's Hugh Freeze. That's Hugh Freeze's offense. And the thing about the Brian Harsin era at Auburn, I can't tell you what he was trying to do offensively. I don't know. I don't know what he wanted their identity to be. With Gus Malzahn, you knew what it was. It was a run-first spread. But I have no idea what Harsin was trying to do. Hugh Freeze is going to be an up-tempo, wide-open offense, and that fits Auburn football a hell of a lot more than what Brian Harsin fit Auburn football.
And he brought in Philip Montgomery, who was fired by Tulsa earlier in the year, back in November after the season. But you're right. I mean, that's Hugh Freeze's offense. Philip Montgomery probably agrees with them. Tulsa always spread it out. So Auburn's a very interesting I mean, I almost think it's like it's that quarterback thing, and we're going to see a lot of teams who their quarterbacks may just change overnight. I'm really intrigued with Auburn. They're a team that's really
one more team that isn't on my list of teams that look drastically different, but they are intriguing. I think TCU is remarkably intriguing, bringing in Kendall Briles to replace Garrett Riley. If you lose Garrett Riley, a hot up-and-comer, I mean, Kendall Briles is also a very young guy still and a very good coach. And I'm not going to talk anything about his other stuff right now. We've already discussed that on the show. He is going to be TCU's offensive coordinator, and he gets stolen from Arkansas. I don't know how Fat Guy is going to do next year, because the only thing that kept him afloat the first couple of years were his coordinator hires, which he got right. He got Barry Odom right at defensive coordinator. He got Kendall Briles right at offensive coordinator. And now he's trying to recreate some magic with Dan Enos as offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. God, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, I think Kendall Briles to TCU is a hell of a hire. And while I don't think they'll have the luck they had this year, TCU is going to be very good next year because they're bringing in a remarkable amount of transfer talent. Trey Sanders, JoJo Earl. They basically got most of Alabama's offense. They got JoJo Earl, they got Trey Sanders, they got Brockemeyer, they got all these guys, and they got other guys too. So TCU's exciting.
I think one that's I don't know if it's gonna be that much of a change, but Ohio State did make a change at offensive coordinator. They went from Kevin Wilson to Brian Hartline, and Brian Hartline's long been credited with recruiting those great wide receivers that we've seen over the past few years. And it seems like people are very excited with Brian as the offensive coordinator now. I'm sure that'll be good for recruiting. On-field play calling will be interesting. And obviously they have a new quarterback. So Ohio State's obviously going to be in the national title mix, at least for the foreseeable future. And Brian Hartline's the new offensive coordinator. So they're going to have to, it's either going to be McCord or I think Jace Brown's the other guy's name.
Yeah. Can you, Zupi, can you just go outside to the main hallway and get my wife? She's here. I don't know if she's in the house yet. She's going to be walking in, and just sit her over there on that C4 couch. Thank you very much. All right. Speaking of wives, one great thing wives are for is for cooking dinner.
Yep.
Probably not the best segue I've ever given. Anyway, at my house, we're equal cookers. We're equal opportunity dinner makers. And HelloFresh is one of the things that we like at our house. It's the #1 meal service kit in the United States of America. It is delicious. It is fantastic. What it is a box of freshly prepared ingredients, and they're organized, and they're made into recipes. There's recipe card. You look at it. Oh, okay. Well, I have 3 pieces of broccoli, and that's for this. You just follow the recipe. In 30 minutes, you have delicious, incredible food. That's what HelloFresh does, and it has so many options. It has gourmet options if you think you're a gourmand. It has carb-friendly options. It has gluten-free options. Any option you can think of, it has it. HelloFresh is one of the best meal service kits I've ever seen, Jack.
Enjoy, taste, and quality done quick with recipes like falafel power bowls, seared steak and potatoes. And also on the seared steak and potatoes.
Hold on. Say that one again.
Seared steak and potatoes. Potatoes.
Yeah, but then make the noise again.
Guess what? On top of that, I didn't even see this. They have a special sauce, béarnaise.
Are you a béarnaise sauce? Yes, béarnaise.
And Southwest pork and bean burritos. Man, once you come back from Arizona, you'll be missing that great Arizona food and Mexican food from down there. And guess what? HelloFresh is going to help you out by sending you some Southwest pork and bean burritos.
You're really struggling with words.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. But
I
do know.
Go to HelloFresh.com right now and let me start that one over. Go to HelloFresh.com/Walker65. Walker65. Use code Walker65 for 65% off plus free shipping. That's code Walker65 at HelloFresh.com/Walker65. All right. 2-minute drill and we'll get out of here. Are you guys ready for a 2-minute drill?
1,000%.
I ask the questions, you answer them. Sometimes there's 5, sometimes there's 6. Today there's 5. All right, the Super Bowl this weekend will be held in Phoenix, Arizona, Tempe, Arizona, wherever the hell it is, Glendale. I want you to give me the perfect 4-city rotation for the College Football National Championship Game. What we're about to do, we're going to build the College Football National Championship Game into an event right behind the Super Bowl. The perfect 4-city rotation for the College Football National Title Game. What is it?
Okay, Atlanta.
Okay, the South. Most of the teams that win the national title are pretty much from there anyway.
Dallas.
Okay. Dallas, Texas. So Atlanta, Dallas.
Arlington, I guess.
Sure, yeah, Jerry World. You going Rose Bowl?
I was thinking Rose Bowl, but it's so lame. And
SoFi Stadium's right there. Let's just use SoFi Stadium.
But SoFi was lame this year. People did not like it.
They didn't like it? Okay, because of the tailgating rules?
And then also, they have that fake roof, and it was, I guess, 50 degrees and raining. And everyone was
that's
cold
right.
as hell. And they were like, hey, I thought I was coming to L.A. So, you know what? We'll do Rose Bowl, and then Damn. I mean,
what are you thinking?
Miami. I guess, you know what? Give it Lucas Oil. No, Indiana.
Wow, he's really struggling. Yes, Katie?
I think an example, because I think baseball does it really well with Omaha, because it's a small enough town that people can take it over. Like every single person who comes there, it just like flocks together. Whereas like obviously in a city like New York and Boston, you're gonna get some influx of just a bunch of random people. Whatever another version of Omaha would be, it's like maybe the Mid-American. It's off.
But the problem is the problem with that, Katie, is Omaha is perfect for baseball because there ain't that many college baseball fans. You're going to get overrun every year by 15,000 people. Like that's not that many. Whereas college football is bringing 100,000. So it has to be. I guess could it be is there a small enough city that's big enough to still feel like a college? Like Nashville kind of works. They don't have a college football team.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, I guess what's Nashville like on January 13th?
I guess. I
guess it's
It could be cold. It could be cold. But I think they're about to build a $1 billion stadium of their own so they can get Super Bowls.
Oh, okay, so then they'll get a national championship then.
All right, now number 2. Let's say this year I've succeeded and the national championship game is on the level of the Super Bowl. But for the first time, we're going to have a marquee, huge name halftime performer. Who is the ideal performer to perform at halftime to set the standard for what college football national championship game halftimes will be? Who is it?
Imagine Dragons. I'm kidding. Damn. Chainsmoker.
Would it have to be like SEC County, like country music?
No.
I'm not like a country music.
Jack, I think it does.
Really? Okay, but who?
Garth Brooks.
Whoever did the Applebee's.
No, Garth Brooks would be huge. I'm not down with. I'm with him. I'm with that.
Yeah, I'm just saying he did a Super Bowl once. I'm just saying Garth Brooks. Maybe we're setting the standard here.
I mean, I'm thinking of like what a big pop. I mean, Taylor Swift's kind of them, but that would be crazy. That would be crazy.
Justin Timberlake.
He's the only thing is, if you're probably sitting down with the TV execs, I don't know if Justin Timberlake moves the needle as much for the younger generation, but
there's no Janet Jackson.
Yeah, you probably won't do a big show like that ever again.
Well, as long as Janet Jackson's titty's not there, it should be fine.
Dua Lipa.
I still don't know who Dua Lipa is. Every time y'all say that, I don't know what that means.
You know who Ice Spice is?
No, you made that up. That's one of the Spice Girls?
No, she you would like her. She's
Ice Spice?
Ice Spice, yeah. She's cool as fuck.
Okay, number 3. I take you shopping to a grocery store, and I release you on the cereal aisle, and I say, bring back your favorite one, or bring back what you want to eat. Remember, I'm not saying, what's your favorite cereal? I'm saying we're on the cereal aisle, so the box appeal is going to have to be there. What are you bringing back to me? What are you putting in the cart?
Golden
and by
Grams.
the way, this is Golden Grams of all the cereals. Okay. This is a game I play with my 7-year-old every single week. We go to the grocery store, and he's only waiting for the cereal aisle. And I just stand at the edge of the cereal aisle and say, all right, go get whatever you're going to get. And his mama hates it.
Yeah, I would see why she hates it. I grew up with just Cheerios, so I never really even got to do this. But I think I would do Reese's Puffs, Cookie Crisps.
Okay, see, this is a good example. If a kid grows up with just Cheerios, he ends up like Jack. Is this what you want? Is this what you want our kid to be? Huh?
I was the same thing. I was like, Honey Nut Cheerios was a special cereal. Like I only was able to have Pop-Tarts that weren't frosted, plain Cheerios, plain Rice Krispies. Like Golden Grams was like the huge thing. Like the special case with like frosted strawberries, like that was huge. Like
the answer is of course. The answer is of course Frosted Flakes. Okay, here we go.
Okay, that's good. I like the Frosted Flakes.
Number 4. Pretend you're having a baby tomorrow. If you were having a baby and you had to give it a first and middle name, but you could only use names of Heisman Trophy winners, what are you naming your baby? Timothy Cameron, perhaps. You could name it. Johnny Jameis. That would be a weird one, to be honest.
I like the name Reggie.
Okay, when's the Reggie won? Well, Reggie's not currently a Heisman winner, so I guess I'll allow that.
Vince is a good name.
Good, he didn't win a Heisman, so you got to stick to the rules here. Troy, perhaps. There's Mark. There's Tim again. There's Sam. Pretty
Charlie,
much anything.
Danny, Ricky.
Oh, you're way back in the 90s. Okay, all right.
What about Barry? Barry, let's bring back the name Barry.
You gonna bring back Barry? Okay, Barry
or Bo. I'm gonna go with Bo.
Bo Barry. So we're back on cereals. Okay, all right. Bo, you're going with Bo, and you're going with Barry.
No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do Jackson, even though his last name as a person.
No, not last name. No, you changed the rules.
But he said middle name, so like, no one has their middle name up here.
You're naming your kid. You're naming your kid Bo Jackson Pondicio.
No, Jackson. I hadn't gotten that far. Pondicio.
Jackson, middle name Pondicio.
Probably. I don't know. I've always thought like the old classic names are good.
Ooh. If you needed, if your life was on the line, and a firing squad was aimed at you, and you needed a 50-yard pass to save your life, it had to hit a target 50 yards down the field. Which college quarterback from the recent past are you choosing to throw that pass?
Joe Milton. I'm dead.
I'd like to announce the death of Jack McGuire.
Joe Milton threw the ball 80 yards.
Joe Milton missed the target about 30 yards, showed impressive arm strength, did not save Jack at all.
It was, yeah. Oh, fuck. You know what? I think I would, geez.
It's the easy answer. It's Joe Burrow, right?
Yeah, I think Bryce would do it easy too. Trevor would
Lawrence?
do it easy. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. Trevor Lawrence is a good one. I was going to think, now, if you just were suicidal, you would choose Will Levis.
Oh, he's got a big arm. He's going to show it off in his shorts soon at the NFL Combine.
Yeah, he is. That 6'4", 230 quarterback machine. And the only problem with him being quarterback is when he has to play quarterback. That's the only issue.
We almost may need for the next few years to have a Will Levis segment in all of our podcasts, just like checking in on Will Levis.
Or that, or who's this weekend's Will Levis? Who's a quarterback that looks a lot
supporting Will Levis until the end.
Oh, you know what, Katie? I'm smarter than this. Will Levis is in Jack's DMs. I can tell you that right now. I can look in his eyes. He's in your DMs, isn't he?
No, he has a girlfriend.
What does that even mean?
Hey, well, I was kidding. Well, he does have a girlfriend, but no, we've talked a few times. I mean, he's from Connecticut.
There you go.
I'm riding with him. Pause.
All right. Anything else?
No.
One of the bars I go to in Connecticut has like an NIL deal with him. Of those,
nice.
Small
Yeah.
World, cover 2.
We love Will Levis in Connecticut.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
well, okay.
Shit.
I think that's a good ending point. We can talk defensive coordinators next week. We'll have a podcast, baby, by next week probably.
Better. If we don't, there's hell to pay.
As some young lady goes into the snack closet. Okay, good luck, young lady. All right, so that should do it.
Stop too. I'm there next.
All right, that's unnecessary roughness.